Helicopters continue to dance around the area. One is making a probe in the south. At his high speed, he's looked like he's conducting reconnaissance. He's engaging one of my tank remnants of my tank company. It's only at 50%. He's punishing the tank company left here. Interesting that he shot over this tank company and into that one. Maybe he doesn't see these. One can only hope. He's making his presence known now with his attack helicopter assets. These are why they are known as the heavy assets. Just their effect can be devastating. He shows up and immediately kills 3 T-80s. 4. My surface-to-air missile battery does not seem to able to... No, he does engage. Nope. Not well, though. Now only with close-in gunfire from the tanks did they surprise him and manage to kill 2 attack helicopters. We won that exchange and forced a second one to retreat. Looks like this is probably a Kiowa reconnaissance helicopter. So he committed his reconnaissance at the same time as his attack helicopter and paid the price. More attack helicopters, and have caught my motorized rifle company. He's picked up the air search radar from the AAA ZSU-23 anti-aircraft artillery gun, and he's hammered it with artillery. Good for him. He's picked up the lone surviving... Oh, and he dropped a mine on it. Well, very expensive, but I'm glad... But he did get it. So he wiped out my SA-11 long-range surface-to-air missile, and he's going after the remnants of this platoon. 1 survivor. He's systematically wiping out my air defense umbrella before he comes in and punishes the land units. Very good planning on his part. Here are my orders. I don't have many artillery targets. The intelligence gleaned from the helicopters is just too old. The artillery are very quick and they could have moved anywhere by now, so I can't blast just general areas and it's just not worth it. So I've committed artillery assets. I put the rockets back on to his rocket launcher, as well as I'm blasting the area even further around it in case he decides to run like a rabbit. I've also moved my helicopter assets to try to narrow down his range of motion, possibly scare him back into the blast zone. My mortars have rearmed, but I don't. These are highly speculative targets where I've seen him last. In general, I am just rearming, reloading the other assets, waiting for him to pop up. I'm trying to pull back from my most exposed position, and I'm bringing the helicopters in for another sweep of the area. The enemy did blast one of my anti-aircraft artillery units, so I've got to move off and reposition. Since he was destroyed by one of my tanks, I am also pulling back my tanks, hopefully only temporarily, but it's just too inviting a target for his artillery if I should stay put. Here we go. I think it will be fairly easy now to hold the line behind this ridge. The motorized infantry continue to take losses from their exposed position, but now we have an idea who might be firing. But it's most likely helicopters, of which we cannot respond easily. The mobile rocket launching system has run in the same direction as before. Oh, we've got one of them. Excellent. So that's 4 out of 7 targets. 5 out of 7. He's run back in the other direction trying to escape my artillery. Good for him. He's trying to get out. He's being wily and cunning. 6 out of 7. Could we have wiped him out? Let's hope so. I've spent a lot of assets trying to suppress him. I hope they were all worth it. His attack helicopters are excellent anti-air defense platforms, so I hope I'm not going to risk my hinds too badly here. Yep, there goes my first hind. Too close. Here looks like a mortar platoon as well as reconnaissance. Not worth the price of a helicopter. For a pair of trucks, it looks like. These are armored personnel carriers, so it looks like an artillery support unit, and here it looks like the artillery. Yep, self-propelled artillery. Mortars. Look at that, a wall of helicopters. And down here as well. My artillery strike goes in, but there's nothing to hit. We'll note where the RT is running from here, this hex to this hex, and mark it for destruction next turn. I lost one more hind. Still an expensive proposition. A suspected enemy headquarters is located at 1112. Excellent. The more I can disrupt him, the slower his decision cycle will be. The mortars are guessing that he might have retreated into the town proper. We'll drop a few rounds and conduct a little reconnaissance by fire. No secondary explosions are... The intelligence is simply too far out of date. The last we saw was a tank unit retreating into this hex, but he's most likely run further already. Oh, a secondary explosion. Looks like it will pay dividends. This is also a high ground, so we've seen units retreating and taking fire from here, but it could be just a transit point. Secondary explosions are detected. Excellent. So we have 2 confirmed locations. More RT for the hills. And another secondary explosion. All's fair in love and war. He had his chance to move, and he did not displace. Two looks like tanks. The last I remember were tanks. 2 out of 3 valid locations isn't bad. I'll take those odds any day. My infantry unit successfully pulls back and is now out of sight. The motorized rifle unit pulls into the field and is now out of line of sight underneath the hills. We will reoccupy the position in a turn or two, but we want to make sure the enemy doesn't see us first. A final salvo drops in the hills above Margrethen. One last explosion.